Welcome to the Vantage HR Influencers Podcast. This podcast is sponsored by Vantage Circle, the simple and AI-powered rewards and recognition platform for employee engagement.
According to SHRM, the Society for Human Resource Management, approximately 25% of organizations utilize automation or artificial intelligence to assist with HR-related tasks. This figure is certainly no joke, and I'm sure in the coming years, this number will grow even further. After all, AI enables HR teams to make data-driven decisions, predict workforce trends, and personalize the employee experience. When HR harnesses the power of AI, it transforms how organizations manage their most valuable asset, their people. Whether you are an AI enthusiast or still trying to wrap your head around chatbots, this episode will help you understand the role and implications of AI in HR. So hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Vantage Influencers Podcast. I'm your host Sanjeevani Saikia, and today we are diving into a topic that's reshaping the very fabric of HR, artificial intelligence. To help us unpack this fascinating topic, we are thrilled to have Avadhesh Dixit, the CHRO at Acuity Knowledge Partners, with us. Avadhesh will bring a wealth of experience and insights to our discussion. So let's welcome him. Hi Avadhesh, thank you so much for joining in today's conversation.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me to your podcast. I really appreciate it.
Before we get into today's topic, AI, its role and implications for HR, could you please kindly walk us through a corporate journey so far?
No, thanks for asking that question. As far as I'm concerned, I have been a career HR professional for last 25 years now. I started my journey with the Tata Group. I spent around 13 years with Tata Group. Of that 13 years, I was also looking after some overseas HR based out of London for 5 years. And then when I came back from London, I became the head of HR and CHRO for CMC Ltd. CMC Ltd was a Tata Group company which was acquired by Tata Group. So I had a good 5-year stint with CMC as a CHRO. And once I was done with that, the job that was needed for me at CMC, I moved to G Capital. And now G Capital in India had two joint ventures. G Capital, the back-end operations, and then G Capital front-end operations, which was a joint venture with SBI, which is now called SBI Card. So I was a CHRO for that. And then, after doing my stint with G Capital, I moved to Moody's Corporation as their regional HR head. I was heading the region which they called India region. So I was the head of HR for Moody's Corporation in India. And then for the last 8 years, I'm with Acuity Knowledge Partners as their CHRO. So that's what the journey is, all more than 24, 25 years in HR.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. I really appreciate it. So with your permission, I'd like to now begin today's conversation on the topic.
Okay.
Great. So as AI is becoming a cornerstone in almost all industries, including human resources, in fact, the impact of AI on HR practices is profound, changing how companies recruit, manage, and retain talent, be it automating routine tasks to providing deep insights through data analytics. AI is, I'm sure, enhancing efficiency in decision-making. But here I would like to know your take on how has AI transformed HR practices and what specific functions does it influence the most?
Yeah. So, Sanjeevani, I would not say that AI has already transformed the HR function. I think we are on a way towards that kind of a transformation in a couple of years or maybe more. But one thing is very clear that AI is already influencing the function of HR. Some transformational stories with respect to AI in HR are yet to be written, I would say, yet to be experienced. But having said that, there is no doubt in my mind that as various functions within organizations pick up AI, HR is not going to be far behind. In fact, the CHROs and the HR organizations have already started looking at AI applications. They've started looking at what AI can do in terms of productivity enhancement of employees, what AI enabled technology can do in terms of aiding and assisting HR teams, what it means for productivity enhancement for not only for the larger organization, the employees, but what it means in terms of productivity enhancement for the HR team itself. So all that is happening, and it is happening at a very fast pace. The adoption and the penetration of AI technologies is gaining momentum by the day, and it is very surprising to see that how some of the technologies which are driven through AI are taking shape at such a fast pace. Now, to answer your question, Sanjeevani, in terms of what functions of HR are going to be influenced by AI, I believe almost every function in some form or shape is going to be influenced or shaped or maybe in future transformed by AI.
Yes.
But obviously, there is no doubt in my mind there are certain functions which are going to be more amenable, are going to be more suited for adoption of AI. And these are the functions or jobs which are easy to replicate, which are technology enabled, which are easy to duplicate, as I said. And so if I can give you example, anything which is very, very repetitive in nature, and then you do it over a period of time with fair amount of standardization, I think those are the jobs where AI will start penetrating very fast. In fact, it has already started penetrating. So look at recruitment operations, for example, all recruitment and all kind of analytics, HR analytics, all kind of data crunching, all kind of drawing some kind of conclusion from large amount of data that HR collects. That entire field of data analytics and HR analytics is getting disrupted or transformed for sure. That's one. Now, any other function, if you pick up, say, for example, you pick up recruitment and screening process, which is a low-end process, identifying candidates, matching skills of candidates with respect to whether they are suitable for a job, which I call JD, job description, and the skill mapping, or job description and the CV matching. Look at HR operations, background verification, onboarding, and some of those aspects like help desk queries, resolving what we call level 1 queries of employees, providing them.
Yes.
So, Sanjeevani, as I described to you, in summary, what I would say is that there is not a single function of HR, whether it is recruitment, performance management, training and development. Training and development, in fact, can get disrupted quite a bit when it comes to routine training, mandatory training, for example, training on information security, some of creating content for the faculty members. So, there would be some kind of a disruption that AI would do. Not disruption, but also I would say assistance that AI will provide to trainers and the entire training function. So almost every function of HR is going to be in some way or some form, or the shape is going to be transformed. And the only good news is that there are certain elements of HR role which are very complex. They require multidisciplinary approach. For example, if you're trying to separate an employee, you are trying to do a career counseling, or you're doing performance counseling, which requires human intellect, which requires emotional intelligence, which also requires knowledge of multiple disciplines like legal and psychology, and bringing about that human element and human understanding. I think the current AI is far away from that kind of a situation right now. So there is no doubt in my mind that the level 1 queries, operational jobs, some of those help desk queries are going to be taken over by AI in year or two. But there's a lot to do with HR, which is very difficult and very complicated to be undertaken by AI.
Yeah. So, could you share some particular areas of HR, of the human resources domain, which is going to be nearly impossible for AI to take over?
So, as I said, for example, look at employee relations. Now, when I talk about employee relations, I'm talking about when you are trying to do when we are trying to do performance conversations, when you are trying to do very complex career conversations where the employee believes that the time has come for him or her to move up the career ladder, and you don't don't believe in it as a manager. So that's a very difficult conversation where there is a mismatch of expectations from maybe from both the sides for that matter. There could be situations where you are trying to take disciplinary action against the employee, and the employee may believe the disciplinary action is not in line with the indiscipline conducted by him or her. You know, any area, Sanjeevni, where there is an interplay of complex human emotions,
Yes.
there is a where there is a in whereas there is a resolution which is to be found by conversation, by negotiation, by listening, by being empathetic.
True.
I think those are the areas which are far away from AI for the time being. In time to come, whether AI is going to reach that kind of a capability, I doubt it. At least in near term, another 4 or 5 years, I doubt it. And even if AI is going to reach that kind of capability, I don't think HR function is going to rely on AI to do separation conversations, for example. So those are some of the very important areas. For example, look at employee assistance program, where employees are calling people because they're stressed. Now AI can give you tips how to feel less stressed, but they can't engage into a very powerful conversation with you how to reduce your stress. Or, for example, you've been fired and you are not able to cope up with the situation with respect to the firing event. I doubt it that AI has currently the AI has that kind of capability.
Interesting. Again, with AI's increasing role in recruitment, there are growing concerns about its potential biases. So, we have seen how algorithms can unintentionally perpetuate existing biases, affecting hiring decisions and workplace diversity. So, ensuring that AI in HR is fair and transparent, I guess the companies surely may face significant challenges that must be addressed. So, according to you, what are the ethical implications of using AI in HR, particularly regarding bias in recruitment algorithms? And most importantly, how can organizations ensure fairness and transparency when leveraging AI technologies? What do you have to say?
See, Sanjeevni, this question of ethical implication of AI
Yes,
is larger than being discussed only in the context of HR.
true.
I think the ethical implications and ethical considerations for AI cut across not only HR, but almost every function
Mm.
or every business line where AI is going to be adopted, whether it is sales, whether it is finance, or it is HR, or for that matter, anything to do with business reality. The reason is this: as you know, that some of the AI technologies, for example, pick up Chat GPT, any version of or any other, what I call LLM based system. The way you train the system, the way the kind of data that you use to train the system, if it is not done in a very ethical manner, you can expect any kind of output, whether it is for sales or HR, for that matter, any other function, to be skewed and with prejudice. So the question that you are asking, Sanjeevni, is larger than its impact on HR, and I'll come to it. I'll tell you how HR also can get influenced in.
Sure.
Now, obviously, that the advancement in technology is also ensuring that the models, the language models or the training models that are being built by data scientists who are working on AI and all, they also have ability to take out biases from the system. The biases from the system, biases from the models, there would be some kind of a self correcting mechanisms that some of these new models are going to have, where even the prejudice and the bias is going to be corrected automatically. Now, I have no idea. How that's going to happen. Some people are attempting it. And, since if it is a self-learning model, I'm sure the LLM technologies are also going to identify mechanisms to keep them prejudiced and biased free. A lot of governments all across the world are grappling with the issue of ethical consideration when it comes to AI. Some governments are talking about regulation, transparency in the way the training of these models is being done. And I'm hopeful that with self-regulation technology and with some intervention from governments and various participants in the AI ecosystem, we will have by and large, prejudice-free and bias-free AI technology to evolve in future. So that's my larger comment on ethical consideration. Now come to HR and recruitment. See, not only recruitment, you can have bias coming into performance management. You can have bias coming into the way you take out people. There might be bias coming out in, how do you engage with staff? Are you engaging with certain section more than somebody else? How are you dealing with the issue of gender diversity? Are you doing gender pay analysis, gender diversity analysis in an unbiased manner or not? And it's not restricted. Gender D&I is not restricted to gender alone. Is there an inclusive culture in the company which takes into diversity apart from gender diversity? What about people with disabilities? What about transgender communities? Are they being treated differently even when they have joined the company? Forget about recruitment process and all.
Yes.
Now, to the extent that the LLMs can be unethical if they are trained in a certain manner, we are going to be subjected to, if we are using ChatGPT for, say, generating a questionnaire for interview. I'm talking about recruitment now. Now, if you're trying to generate, you say, go to any kind of a platform and say, I want interview questions for XYZ role. And if some of those questions are biased, because that's how the training module has been trained, you will have to live with the output. But then what happens? I really don't think that companies like ours or any other company out there in the world is going to rely only on the output produced by AI to take recruitment decisions or hiring decisions. You can take assistance from ChatGPT. For example, give me the JD for XYZ role. I don't have a JD. Can you match this JD with the skills presented in the CV? Can you tell me the sources of finding this kind of profile in the market? Those kind of queries are already happening. We are also using them in our company. We are using ChatGPT 3.0 to generate interview questions. We are using them to do some kind of writing JDs and all that. We are also using them to generate interview questions and all. But the crux of the whole thing is that even if you get that output, you are not taking hiring decisions based on that. Hiring decision is still based on human interface, and human interface, by the way, human interface can also be prejudiced, so I'm not going to get into it.
Yeah.
But with multiple rounds of interviews for a candidate, especially critical positions, I'm hoping that we are able to reduce or remove the biasness from the recruitment process. So in summary, what I'm trying to tell you, Sanjeevani, on this question is that AI and ethical considerations cut across all functions. I think if there is one thing which is going to take AI advancement backwards, is lack of ethical consideration by the entire ecosystem where AI is progressing. That's one. And on recruitment, we don't have to worry, because I don't think companies are taking decision only based on what AI is telling them.
Yes. Again, AI's power lies in its ability to analyze large data sets, providing valuable insights for HR. However, this also means handling vast amounts of sensitive employee information. The balance between harnessing AI's benefits and protecting this data is delicate and crucial for, maintaining trust and compliance issues. So how can HR departments balance the benefits of AI with the need to protect sensitive employee data?
See, we are always going to protect employee personal and sensitive information, which means that unless we are convinced that a particular technology, and how are we going to be convinced? Obviously, we have our own mechanism to run compliance check. We have our own mechanisms to run information security, data breach kind of a situation when we are onboarding any kind of a system. We also have our own internal guidelines as to how do we deal and treat and process personal data on any kind of a technology platform. So this was a issue even without AI. Even in a third-party technology system, you have a risk of losing your personal information, personal employee information, if the IT infrastructure or information security infrastructure or the compliance ecosystem of the company with which we are working is not robust enough. So our ability to put compliance, information security, review end-to-end third-party providers or any other AI platform that we are using, that will come into play. And I think the only way we are going to ensure is that we work with the best, And we believe that our own internal assessment of the way we currently protect personal information is intact. Now, having said that, there are chances that some of the AI platforms run amok and they have access to your employee personal data. Not that you want them to have it, but if somehow they have it, and by the way, that's unethical practice to begin with. So I'm sure the regulation is going to take care of it. You are aware that a lot of countries and a lot of companies are already raising concerns about some of the AI platforms using their data, which without their permission, in terms of somehow getting that data and using it. A lot of litigation is happening, and the governments all over the world are trying to see how do they address and limit AI to getting into somebody else's territory without permission. We may voluntarily participate in any kind of a large language model building where some of our data is going to be maybe required, which means that we again follow permission, consent from employees. We also follow our own guidelines in case we are participating in any kind of a study which would require us to part ways with our data to benefit from any kind of AI technology. So currently, I don't see any kind of a issue till the time our own mechanisms of evaluating the protection of data, personal data, is in place.
Yeah. According to you, Avdesh, how is the integration of AI in HR processes affecting workforce dynamics and employee morale? Are there any significant shifts in job roles or employee expectations that you have particularly observed?
See, there is no doubt in my mind that over a period of time, certain jobs, and when I say jobs, it may not be a complete job. Let's talk about components of job. For example, there might be a HR manager who does 50 activities in a day. I'm not saying that the AI is going to replace that entire job completely. There are very good chances that depending on the role, 10%, 15%, 20%, 30% of the activities, depending on the role, may be done by AI. There would hardly be any jobs where there is going to be a complete takeover by AI. As I said, the penetration of AI into a job could be anything between 0% to say 60, 70%. Now, we have done a study in our own organization where we feel that AI may have a potential impact, positive impact, in the way it assists our employees in terms of productivity enhancement. And also that means that certain jobs are going to get reorganized. So reorganization of jobs will be done. AI is also going to enable staff in terms of productivity because they know that their entire job is not going to go away. So for example, if you have a HR manager who's only 10 to 15% of the activities are getting impacted by AI, he or she may use AI tools to pass on those activities to AI, and remaining 80% of the job, he or she can become more effective because the person has more time to deal with activities which are complex and which cannot be handled by AI. So what would happen is that as AI gets deployed in HR organizations, HR functions, they will start assisting, and they may also start making certain activities within a job redundant. Now, as they make those activities redundant and AI technology takes over, that may leave a lot of time with the people, especially say for example HR people, to do much more value adding activities, building culture, getting involved into more meaningful performance conversations, career counseling, psychological counseling, dealing with stress, employee engagement, where I see AI is not going to make inroads so quickly. In terms of morale, obviously, any new technology can lead to some kind of anxiety in any part of the world, the workplace. And employees are no different. All of us believe, all of us, due to lack of information and due to lack of what's going to come about, it can be very distressing, and it can be full of anxiety as to what will happen to my role. I can assure people that there have been waves and waves of technology where people have felt insecure, have felt anxiety. And if you look at history tells us that none of those waves of technologies have really taken away jobs. What has happened is that the jobs have transformed. They have become different. For example, some jobs have been lost. But the number of jobs lost versus number of new jobs which have come up is the gap is huge. More number of jobs get created, more number of jobs get reorganized. Ultimately, technology has the ability to create more jobs also.
Yeah.
Now, having said that, am I saying that employees should not think about reorganization of their jobs? Obviously, they should, and that is where I would say that every person in the working in business domain, they must look at whether they are adopting AI. Are they comfortable with technology? Are they evaluating how their own jobs may get a little more reorganized? What percentage of AI impact will happen on their jobs, and are they preparing themselves for that? I don't think any employee in the world can relax and say, oh, nothing is happening to me, my job. And hence, I think everyone has to look at what kind of technology they want to adopt, and we can remain very aware about some of this AI impact on some of the activities that they perform, and reinvent themselves, reorganize themselves, get more skilled about using HR technology. Like in our own company, my own company, we almost everyone is using Chat GPT to assist them. Whether it is generating questions or asking minutes of the meeting, or asking Chat GPT to give them some idea about how to have difficult conversations. We are using it. We are also in the process of deploying a chat AI-enabled chatbot in the company, and the 70 to 80% of the HR team is involved in deploying that chatbot. Why are we doing it? Because the more and more they get exposed to AI, more and more they get exposed to the AI technology, more and more secure they feel. They know the reality that it is exciting stuff, is going to help them, and is going to make their job much more productive. So my message to the employees would be that embrace the technology, don't run away from it, and don't feel insecure about it.
True. As AI continues to evolve, it brings new trends and innovations that will shape the future of HR, be it from predictive analytics to personalized employee experiences. I guess the next decade promises exciting developments. So keeping an eye on these trends is crucial for HR professionals to stay ahead. Avadhesh, please could you help us identify some of these emerging trends in AI for HR that we should watch out for in the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. As I said, AI's penetration into each and every walk of our life, each and every domain of business is quite exciting, and also the pace is quite exciting. Almost every day there's a new technology, new apps which are coming out, new technologies are coming out which are based on AI. And I don't think that HR is going to remain isolated. Even HR is going to get influenced, get transformed maybe in some years to come. And it's a good news, because see, remember, HR is a function which is very people-facing function. And many a times what happens is that the HR people, majority of the people, HR people, get bogged down by dealing with stuff which is nothing to do with people, and it is non-people centric work. For example, preparing reports, doing data crunching, analyzing reports, doing data analytics, trying to tell the company where we stand, X, Y, Z, following up for background verification, collecting background verification files. A lot of very routine, mundane, work goes into HR, and that takes away a lot of good HR time, a lot of good HR time from doing something much more meaningful for employees. My guess is that as AI starts penetrating the function of HR, what's going to happen is that some of this mundane and routine work is going to be taken over by AI. Even some more complex work, as we progress with AI, may get taken over by AI. It's not automation. It's much more intuitive. It's much more widespread. It is not mere automation of HR systems. So I would say that AI's penetration could be beyond automation and beyond technology adoption. But having said that, some of the functions where I believe there's a lot of exciting stuff is waiting to happen. Recruitment for sure. We spoke about it. Skill mapping, identifying right kind of candidates, detecting fraud in CVs, detecting fraud in employees who are claiming something and which is not true, or really finding candidates which are passive candidates, looking at a lot of data analytics to predict who are the candidates who are going to be successful at job. I think those kind of dimensions of recruitment and hiring are going to be much more powerfully enabled by AI. Look at performance management. Trying to predict who are the employees, who are the star employees, who are the employees who are probably expected to do better, who are the employees on our attrition side we have more risk of losing. You could do that with predictive analytics without AI also. But AI is going to make it so powerful, as you rightly said, the amount of data that it consumes and the amount of the high level of processing of analytics that it can produce. Some of those predictive analytics tools, which if they are AI enabled, where the text and the pictures and everything is getting analyzed, the mood is getting analyzed, it may give you much more predictive ability in terms of who are the people who are good people and who are the people not so good and who are the people who may leave the organization. Now, if you go to HR operations, as I said, all the mundane work of, MIS reporting and all that is going to change. Training and development, I spoke about it. I think there's a fair amount of support that AI is going to provide the trainers in terms of content creation, in terms of preparing the training plans, in terms of preparing training calendars and all that. And that leaves trainers and the faculty to really deep into complex case studies, complex delivery of training programs like time management, like managing self. And then even if their 20-30% of the time is saved, imagine how much time they are devoting to something much more complex, which cannot be replaced by AI, which is delivering a world-class one-to-one face-to-face training programs. So I can go on and on, but I think the trend is very clear. Almost every function of HR, chatbot, I don't expect employees to write a mail to HRO, what is my leave balance. If you look at customer services functions they're already getting impacted by chatbot.
Yes.
And chatbot is not only going to deal with pre-trained data, they are going to crawl multiple policies and they can give you some complex answers. So they may be looking at travel policy, they may be looking at leave policy, and they might be looking at different policy, and using natural language processing technology, they can give you answers which are much more complex for a very simple chatbot, which is pre-trained with preset of questions and preset of answers. I'm not saying that that's not important, but the the bot, which is AI enabled, which will have a much more complex capability to answer questions which may not only be limited to level 1, level 2 queries. So Sanjeevni, the space is very exciting, and I think HR function will get much more productive. They will have more time to do things which they really ought to be doing more, and almost every function of HR will see some kind of a positive influence because of AI. Again, my message to HR fraternity, all the people who are listening to me, is that please embrace technology, please embrace AI, read about it, go to your CHRO, go to your head HR and say, what is it that we are doing with respect to AI in HR? Start some small projects, start some pilot projects, and get involved and join the fun and join the journey of AI in HR.
True. For HR professionals looking to integrate AI into their practices, what advice would you give? Are there any best practices or key strategies they should consider ensuring a smooth and effective implementation?
See, very simple, for a long period of time, HR people have been quoted to be soft guys.
Yeah.
Soft people, it's all about people, it's all about, and it is, don't get me wrong, but it is. HR is all about being empathetic, managing people, training people, creating leadership, driving culture. That's the soft side of HR. I think with AI and some of the technology now coming into the picture, I would request HR professionals to be equally good on the science of HR. Now, when I say the science of HR is all about love for data, love for ability to analyze data, love for drawing patterns from analyzed data and deriving insights, as they say. Because unless you have equal strong footing on science of HR, AI is something which is going to scare you and you are not going to be in a position to adopt it. At the core of AI is science. And that science is all about the way you collect data, the way you analyze data and all. So my only recommendation to people in HR who want to take on the journey of AI is that get to the science of HR and start reading and preparing yourself more on the science of HR, which is nothing but a very good use of data and statistical analysis to understand how the HR function is being driven through some of the data. Now, having said that, when it comes to HR functions, I think you need to start training your teams on the science of HR. You need to start exposing them to AI and it's basic AI, and you don't want your guys to become coders and XYZ, but the functional user side of HR. I think every HR professional and every CHRO must ensure that they are getting exposed to it. If you want to be successful in AI, deploying AI in HR, first of all, you need to be very tech savvy and you need to be embracing technology. That's one. Second, your company should have very good internal systems to collect good data, large data, and quality data. I'm again saying, if you are not able to collect good data, large data, and you do not have ability to analyze large amount of data, because unless you are using large amount of data, the output is going to be, it could be misleading. Only a large amount of data, which is analyzed over a period of time, large period of time, can give you insights which you can use for action. Otherwise, you may be using half-baked output, which could be very dangerous, especially in people situation. It's not a business decision whether to buy a chair or no. You might be dealing with people where if you are not 100% sure about what the output is, you cannot use it for action. So it's all about data, embracing technology, doing pilots, and and then once you have done pilots, scale it up. I would request all of you in HR and HR functions to start the journey as quickly as possible. Even if it is a small journey with one or two tools, it could be as simple as deploying a AI-enabled chatbot in your company, which may take 5-6 months to deploy, but go for it and enjoy the ride.
Great. Avadhesh, thank you so much for sharing your insights. I'm sure our listeners will be greatly benefited from all the responses that you've given to each of our questions. So thank you so much. We have reached the end of today's podcast. Do you have any message for our listeners? Our listeners would be delighted to hear it from you. Also, our audience might want to stay in touch with you post this podcast. So it would be great if you could tell them how they can reach out to you.
So my message in the end is that these are very exciting times for HR and larger, business function in the era of AI. I think the message is that please do not be insecure. Do not be afraid of what AI can do. I can assure you, once you start adopting it, you'll love it. There is a lot of productivity gain. There is a lot of learning. There are a lot of exciting stuff happening on AI's intervention in HR. And you could play a very pivotal role, not only in terms of transforming your HR function, the way it is run and how productive it can be, but you also owe it to hundreds and thousands of employees out there who are working for you, depending on what kind of company you are, to make a very positive impact to their lives. Take out some time from them, give them productivity tools, which can make their life easy, probably drive much more work-life balance, much more flexibility at workplace. And to larger employees or workforce, my message is that history tells us that any kind of technology, if it has transformed jobs, taken away certain jobs, or reorganized jobs, it has also created many more jobs in return. So only thing I can tell you is that this entire AI and its landscape is a good news for workforce, is good news for HR function, and it is a very good news for HR folks, at individual level. So just embrace it and make it part of your professional journey. That's the only message I have. In case anybody wants to contact me, they can connect with me on LinkedIn. They can follow me. They can probably track me what I'm up to on a daily basis on LinkedIn. That's the best way to reach out to me.
Avadhesh, thank you so much for sharing your journey with us and for joining us in today's episode. I'm really, really grateful to you. So thank you. Thanks a lot.
No problem. And thanks for inviting me, and my best wishes to you and my best wishes to all your audience anywhere in the world. Thank you so much. Thanks for inviting me once again.
Thanks for listening to the Vantage HR Influencers Podcast. Please do subscribe to Vantage HR Influencers Podcast on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and our YouTube channel for new episodes.